MechanExpert is back. New GTI. Tesla batteries fast charging, no problem. Mercedes-Benz wins in Australian court. BYD cargo ship so cars can go. Seat replaced by Cupra. Hello, my name's Paul Callan and welcome to this week's MotorZen News. MechanExpert Technical Roadshow is back on the road, and they're starting on the 19th of September. Tuesday the 19th of September they're in the Lodge Hotel in Coleraine. Wednesday the 20th of September they're in Letterkenny Training Centre, and on the 21st, on the Thursday night, they're in Enniskillen in the Network Auto Store. Bosch, Liquid Mall, Man Filters, Nissans, Brake Engineering, Brembo, Exide, FAG, Gates, Hella, INA, Sachs. That's, I think I've named most of them, but it's a very comprehensive training and technical event, and it's well run and well put on. There's always little nuggets of information, and also building some contacts or relationships. They're good for that as well. So if you're in those areas and you have time, try and put the effort into going along. 48 years ago this week at the Motor Show in Frankfurt, which they subsequently became the Motor Show in Munich, which it is now, the Mark 1 GTI was launched. This week they're launching the new GTI, and keeping in mind that Volkswagen want to become the largest EV maker by 2027, you guessed it, this is an electric GTI. And you're saying to yourself, well, how can they call it GTI if it's an electric GTI? Well, GT as in Grand Tourer, I would have stood for injection. Now they're saying it stands for intelligence. And there is something to this, because this is an interesting car, and I think this car is symbolic of how we're going to interact with electric vehicles going forward. Front axle diff lock, controlled by vehicle dynamic manager system. EV motor has infinite variables that it can be set up to. They can also control the running gear, the steering and the sound. So there's a whole array of, and gear shift. They can simulate gear shift with this car as well. So they can actually set the car up to simulate an original Mark 1 with everything, with dynamics, running gear, steering, sound, simulated gear shifts. They can do a Mark 2 16 valve. They can do virtually anything now with this car. So I think this car is a symbol of how performance electric cars are going to be going forward. There's going to be a whole array of setups and options that we can create within the car based on the fact that there's so much variability that can be created with the electric motor. Other aspect of the show is that it's kind of symbolic that maybe motor shows are dying, because the only people that are showing at this show, and this would have been seen as one of the huge motor show events in the world, certainly in Europe, but the only brands that are showing are German brands, which obviously are supporting their own show, and Chinese brands. So again, not the volume of manufacturers that we would traditionally have seen at these shows, and maybe this is signalling that these shows are dying out. We're hearing a lot of talk about the agency model, this thing where the manufacturers are going to sell the cars directly to the end user, to the end customer. And if anybody thought that this was theory or wasn't really going to happen, here's a story that proves to you it's happening. Mercedes-Benz in Australia started to impose this on their dealers back in 20 and 2021. 38 out of the 49 Mercedes dealers in Australia took a class action case against Mercedes-Benz, in that they were claiming that Mercedes-Benz bullied them into accepting this no-haggle agency sales model, whereby Mercedes-Benz is keeping ownership of the car, fixing the selling price and paying a fixed commission to the dealers. It took the court 9 months to return a verdict, and the verdict was that Mercedes are well within their rights to do what they're doing. So 38 dealers have lost their case against Mercedes, and that the agency model, the direct selling model, is totally acceptable, and the Mercedes can go ahead with it. So again, when you think to yourself, 38 Mercedes dealers, pretty strong, pretty competent business people, doesn't stand anything against Mercedes. They're doing this and that's it. So we're probably going to see this rolled out more and more now and this is clearly evidence that it can be done, and they will do it. Chinese manufacturer SAIC, who are the manufacturers of the Maxus, which Harris in Ireland are the importers for Ireland and the UK, they've just put into service their first cargo ship. They're going to have their own transport, their own cargo ships for transporting their vehicles from China. The first ship will carry 7,600 cars, but that's not the end of it. They're going to build a fleet of 12 ships, with the biggest carrying 9,000 cars. So if anybody thought the Chinese weren't serious about attacking the European market, have another think. In America, there's been a test done on Tesla batteries. The presumption has been that if you fast charge the battery, you will degrade the battery faster. Well, a company called Recurrent has carried out extensive testing on Model Y and Model 3. They've looked at fast charging on a particular range of Ys and 3s that have been fast charged for 90% of their charging has been done as fast charging. And then they've looked at another group of vehicles where only fast charging was done for 10% of the charging. What they discovered was that over the life of the battery, there was only 1 to 2% the degradation between the two, difference between the two batteries. So it's clearly demonstrating that there is little or no degrading of the battery if you fast charge it. Now, they are saying that Teslas do very particularly well because they've got very good thermal management, they've got very good voltage management. In general, they've got very good battery management systems, which is meaning that the super high charging is not affecting the overall life of the battery. BYD will pass out Mercedes-Benz, BMW and Renault in terms of volume of vehicles sold in the world this year, they reckon. This year they reckon they're going to sell 3 million vehicles. That would make them the ninth biggest on sales in the world. So again, a big milestone there for BYD. Interesting story sideline to this was in the UK, the dealer group, the dealers have come together and asked BYD to remove "build your dreams" wording off the back and the front of the cars, and I think it's a nice touch. I think it's a little bit tacky, but they've said, look, the market doesn't like this, and could we remove it, because the cars look really, really good, and they've agreed to it. They're listening to the market. They're saying they're taking the words "build your dreams," obviously, which is what BYD stands for. They're removing those words from the car to make the cars look a little bit more subtle and a little bit more classy, I think. Seat. Again, there's a lot of news coming out this week because of that big motor show event that's taking place in Munich. But Volkswagen have announced that Seat will start to step back from being involved in selling cars in the coming years. Cupra will be the name that they'll go forward with, and they're going to bring the Seat brand into more mobility solutions. And one of the things they're suggesting in that would be that Seat may be used on e-scooters. So the interesting things that they're carrying out here now is that this mobility solutions looks to be another sector that manufacturers are looking at, and Volkswagen are saying, right, we're going to use the Seat brand in this sector, we're going to use the Cupra brand in the traditional car sector. So interesting to see how that plays out. Agnews in Belfast are closing 2 of their Seat dealerships in Belfast. They've been with Seat a very long time. Agnews, who are part of the Sidner Group and therefore part of the Penske Group, are dropping the Seat. But we did mention last week that Seat was been picked up by Charles Hurst and that they were putting it into their portfolio of vehicles. That's it for this week. Again, thanks for watching. If you could, like, comment, subscribe, or give us a like there on LinkedIn. We're getting a good many likes. It's very encouraging when you're doing this every week to just realise that some people do like watching it. So if you could give us that like, it'd be really much appreciated. And look, thanks for that. See you next week.